And so, just like that, we're another weekend gone, and we finished our first trimester of the 2022 season. And because of last night's clash as well, we have two games to cover. Let's call it a long weekend. So first of all, let's dive into our round 7 match against Box Hill United. Of course, perhaps the biggest takeaway point from all this was the return of Caitlin Pickett back from her injury. Of course, you remember she sustained both concussion and whiplash from her stolen penalty, I believe it's the line we're taking, against Alamein about a month ago now. But otherwise, it was largely more or less the same, which is certainly a good thing when you've got a squad like South, where we're not particularly blessed with depth. So, when we've got players coming back, particularly those as influential like Caitlin is, it's certainly a big boost to the side. Otherwise, certainly a rather early goal scored by Acacia Sandu. Always nice to have a nice, solid captain's contribution. Something that we certainly all appreciate. Otherwise, the squad was all looking quite well. It was very much one where it was the defensive midfield really shining. Players like McKenna, Bella Stringfellow, Iramano, they're all looking really, really good out there. A few players certainly slipping a bit in the rain. Oh, not so much the rain, but just the pitch itself. Considering it was a bit wet, but not too destructive overall. Just a few feet losing and being lost underneath. Otherwise, not too bad. The back line were looking in quite good shape, often while being often under very heavy pressure from Box Hill. So that was certainly a good highlight of the match. Otherwise, the first half, we're up 1-0. Not much more to be said about that. Second half certainly started off a bit shaky. We didn't entirely seem as confident as perhaps we should have been. Again, a few more players losing the ball on the feet. For quite a while, it was weirdly misty, which I'm not too sure how much of an impact that certainly played upon the team, and indeed both sides. But it was an almost spooky factor to the evening, for lack of a better word. Otherwise, among the few other remaining points of the half, of course, I'd like to have a nice big shout out to Holly Murray and the absolutely cracking tackle she had. Something that they would certainly describe as being Brexit in nature. Right, hard, all in, no craps given. Otherwise, beyond that, we certainly perhaps could have conceded a goal, as Box Hill were looking quite good when they had the front foot ahead of them. Otherwise, in the end, it would be down to Johanna Lawson to make it 2-0. Indeed, our first victory for the season. Otherwise, the only point of note for round 7 was the UCA going to the returning Caitlin Pickett. Of course, the award is there to honour both commitment and performance, both on and off the field. And certainly the off the field aspect is something we like to push a bit more, because it just shows that it's not just all the work you put in when you're during the game, when you're out there on the pitch. It's all about training, build up, getting into the state you need to be in order to even get onto the field. And certainly, I'm sure as we can all agree, Caitlin had a far greater challenge of getting back onto the field compared to most of the squad. Moving on, we also had last night's round 4 makeup clash at home against FA Immersion. Of course, this was originally supposed to be being played out in Knox due to lingering Grand Prix logistical issues, but it was, of course, postponed. Now, of course, this game we certainly had a bit less to really earmark in terms of notes, as I'm sure for those who are either there or watching at home, the rating for that would be perhaps a little bit blatant, and of course rather understandable. So what we will certainly do for you is put in a bit of highlights from the game as well, particularly our goals from the match. Indeed, there were goals. So, first of all, first half, rather standard affair. I mean, I suppose the whole match, in many regards, both teams largely mirrored each other, which certainly makes me question whether or not both Winterburn and Sam at least went through the same coaching program together. I mean, yes, everyone's got the same license out there. Some might have one up, some might have one below. More or less the same license out there in order to be able to go out and coach. At the same time, both teams felt eerily identical in terms of just basic structures. The only seemingly key difference between the two teams that were playing was just how the backline was used. FV certainly preferred a strong pivot, particularly focused upon Morris, whereas our backline was perhaps more reliant upon Jenna Farrow and using the keeper very much as an 11th player onto the field. Not so much in the role of a sweeper, but more so as an amplified goalkeeper. So not quite sweeper, but not quite just stringent keeping duties, if that makes sense. Of course, we would be the first to score, and we scored quite early as well, this time coming from the boot of young Lawson.
Sandhu with the ball in. She finds Lawson. Lawson with the goal. South Melbourne's first of the evening. The scoreline presently being South Melbourne 1, FV Emerging 0.
FV would equalise, this time via the boot of Sarah Kane, their captain.
The ball's played in. It's going deep. A shot's taken. And what a crack-on goal that was. An absolutely stellar volley into the back of the net.
Going to the second half, much the same as the first. Very much to and fro, all playing the same sort of strategy. Lots of long balls that just didn't find the play you wanted. So linking up was certainly a big issue for ourselves, and indeed for Emerging. As I said, it was like they were just identical teams. Very, very evenly matched upon a structural level. The only real advantage we seem to have over Emerging was perhaps a couple more years on our players, in some cases a bit more physicality, and certainly a lot more pace. Yet, even that, and trying to play the long balls through, we just couldn't get to them, be it we were just out-muscled for a lot of 2-on-1s, or just pelted too far, or just in the wrong direction. So, all very much a fair amount of frustration. We were, of course, the first to score, making it 2-1.
Sandhu sends in the corner. Can she find the head of someone? Yes, she does.
Going forward, of course, again, Emerging would equalise via Kane. We had a couple of substitutions. Indeed, it was through a substitution that we managed to get our third goal of the evening through the young Georgia Candles.
In the end, it was Stringfellow who gains the ball. Pickett. Accardo. Looking for an option. Candless trying to push forward for South Melbourne side. In the end, Iramano's fouled, and the free kick is quickly taken with Pickett in possession, and almost two-footed as well. Is that a goal? Yes, it will be. And this time, it won't be Pickett who scores for South Melbourne. It will be the substitute, number 28, Georgia Candless, to make it 3-2 for South Melbourne.
Making it 3-2 for the time. Unfortunately, and to a lot of broken hearts, Immersion would again equalise, also via a substitute. And from that stage, it was just, that'll do. Which certainly seems a bit defeatist. I know certainly the team was pushing quite strongly for it. But it seemed like we weren't quite as aware on the sidelines in trying to just get things going. We had a very late substitution, bring on, of course, Cap Goff, who's normally, a lot of players can always get ahead, try and get us in a better position and a chance to score. Fortunately, she was brought on during injury time, meaning we lost time via a substitution, which didn't help us in the slightest. Certainly should have been brought on at least 5 minutes earlier, preferably 10, so she had a chance to properly get out there, have a good run, and help build us into a much stronger position. Overall, the final score was 3-all. This, of course, means we ended up the first trimester with a win, 2 draws, and 4 losses. Not great. And certainly something we should have done better. Indeed, if we were perhaps better prepared going into the final 10 minutes of last night, we should have made it 4-3. It was quite possible. I certainly think it's rather possible that we could have kept it as 3-2. But in the end, of course, draw there. We had a draw against Bayside, a game which we shouldn't have drawn. Bayside were very, very fortunate to get the point there. That should have been a win. We should have at least drawn against Alamein, particularly through Pickett's unawarded penalty, which that in itself was very much on the final gasps of the 90 minutes. So, had these first 7 matches truly gone our way, at least in terms of how we played, we should have 3 wins to our name, 1 draw, and 3 losses. A much more respectable tally, given where our squad are and our strengths and how we play. In the end, football can be rather cruel. So then, let's have a look at what's happening elsewhere in the league after the first trimester. First of all, of course, we had our 2-0 victory over Box Hill United. Calder United hosted Alamein. Calder would go on to win 2-0. Heidelberg United hosted FV Bulleen, and they would go on to give Bulleen's first defeat of the season, winning 3-0 in the end. Otherwise, Bayside United would host FV Emerging, going on to lose 4-0 at Kingston Heath. This means we've firmly got a new leader on the table. Up top, we have Heidelberg United on 15 points. In second, we have Calder United on 14 points and plus 16 goal difference. In third, Also on 14 points is Bulleen Lions, with a plus 10 goal difference. In fourth, on 10 points and a neutral goal difference, is Alamein. Also with a neutral goal difference in fifth is Box Hill United with 9 points. In sixth, we have FV Emerging on 8 points. In seventh, we have ourselves on 5 points. And in eighth place, we have Bayside United remaining on 2 points. So, of course, being the start of a new trimester, all the fixtures go back to where they were in terms of the teams facing who. But who's hosting who this time? Well, first of all, we will see Alamein host FV Emerging at Dorothy Laver on this Saturday. This will be from 3 p.m. Calls United will be hosting Box Hill United at Killock Park, also Saturday 3 p.m. On Saturday from 3:30, however, Bayside United will be hosting Heidelberg United down at Kingston Heath. And on Monday night, Bulleen Lions will be hosting South Melbourne at the Veneto Club. Kickoff is 8:15. So, we certainly hope you enjoyed all of the first 7 games action, and look forward to the next trimester carry on. And on that note, we should finally talk about the Bingo Awards. What the hell are they? So on and so forth. Now, while a poll will be up, ideally, a bit before we actually have this video out, as we'll be doing things more or less at the same time in the editing stage. The Bingo Awards is certainly a bit of a wink towards our potentially increasingly infamous chart in our interviews as they carry forward. And of course, to get a bingo, you have to get through a couple of naughty words. The idea is moments of the greatest amount of frustration, of course, resulting in ourselves having to get through a bingo to just relieve our emotional distress and frustration about what went on. So what moments from the first trimester of the season are capable for a winning vote for this trimester's Bingo Awards, which of course will go on to the season final, which will have the winner of first, second and third trimester playing off against one another. Of course, the 3 moments for this trimester are, of course, our long-serving player in Natalie Martineau going back home to Canada, Caitlin Pickett and her rather painful ending at Alamein, or our 3-0 defeat against Heidelberg United at home. So, will it be departing captain, screwdriver player, or Derby dismay? Voting will remain open up until the Bulleen fixture. Until next time, we have been LAS Fan TV. Come on, Hellas.